Again, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for joining us for our opening day of our 58th Annual International Convention. Today is a special day for us here at PUSH. And to begin, it's special for us for a number of reasons. Number one, we're home at Dr. King's workshop. Let's give God some praise for the work that this organization continues to do even for such a time as this. We are hosting the convention here at our headquarters because, for like many of you, it is homecoming for so many who are visiting Chicago. As you know, the DNC begins on Monday. Many of the leadership of the DNC started as interns and staffers of Reverend Jesse Jackson when he ran for president, both in '84 and '88. So it wouldn't be no DNC leadership that we see today without that man sitting right there before us. So today we're here, we're back at home. It's a homecoming for us. Many of our leaders are here from across the state, have come near and far to join us as we talk about the people's agenda. This weekend we will hear from many thought leaders, activists, educators, policymakers, and community members to engage in meaningful discussion and dialogue as we build the people's movement. To begin this press conference and our opening session, we're so excited to welcome and to join us on the podium this morning, Illinois Supreme Court Justice Joy Cunningham. Shall we give her a round of applause?
Good afternoon. And I have to start by saying to God be the glory, because without him, none of us would be here. And second, thank you, Reverend Jackson, because without you, I would not be on the Illinois Supreme Court. And let me tell you why. Quick story. Hope is the only thing that the voiceless and the oppressed have. And Reverend Jackson and this organization has given hope to many of us, including me. Without the organization, the support of Reverend Jackson and Miss Betty Magnus, I would never have made it to the Illinois Appellate Court. And without being on the Appellate Court, I would never have been elected to the Supreme Court. So hope is alive and well in this organization, and it's there for us. And we are here for you, and we are all in this together. So I am grateful to God. I am grateful to Reverend Jackson and the organization and the family that he's raised, all of us, his biological family and his spiritual family, of which we are all members. Thank you so much, and congratulations on keeping this event alive every year. Thank you.
Thank you, Justice Cunningham. Let's give her another warm welcome. Thank you so much. The next person that I'm about to introduce is not only the congressman of the 1st Congressional District here in Illinois, but he is a son of the Rainbow Push Coalition. Let's show some love to Congressman Jonathan Jackson as he comes to bring remarks.
It's an honor to be here today, and it's a greater honor to be your representative of the 1st Congressional District of Illinois, and the ultimate honor is to be the proud son of the Reverend Dr. Jesse Jackson and Mrs. Jacqueline Jackson. Love you, Dad. I thank you so much. We are here because this is the people's agenda. Reverend, you have done so much for so many for so long, and in part this is a tribute to give you recognition for the seeds that you've planted that have now germinated, that have grown into magnificent trees. Out of this very organization where you're sitting right now, the chair of the Democratic Convention for 2024, hosted here in Chicago, is none other than Mrs. Mignon Moore, a product of your work, Reverend Jackson. Out of these pews came a young activist, organizer, a great mayor, unlike we've seen before, that we're so proud of, that paid the dues, that came out to help organize and is leading our city, the Honorable Mayor Johnson. Out of these same pews, people have come. In 1986, a woman that will now be our Democratic nominee, Mrs. Kamala Harris, was marching in Washington, D.C. to the tune of a free South Africa, a free Nelson Mandela when it wasn't popular. Out of these very same pews, a young man named Barack Obama went on to run for state Senate and U.S. Senate and became the President of the United States of America. Out of these same pews, Nelson Mandela and Harold Washington and so many people. 40 years later, Rev, I want to say a job well done, and God is not through with you yet. Thank you for assembling us today for the People's Agenda. In closing, I want you to know 2025 is not a rumor. It's not some gossip. It's not a conspiracy theory. This document created by the Heritage Foundation that has 922 pages, that has a four-pronged agenda, simply was leaked and now has caught fire. It is already in motion. When the 118th Congress came into being, it went into implementation. When McCarthy took over the leadership of the Speaker of the House, and now when we have Speaker Johnson talking about he's a Christian nationalist, they've already started gutting out the diversity programs, the equity programs, the inclusion program. They've already started taking an attack on women's reproductive health issues. They've already started taking attacks on the Supreme Court to turn back the hands of time to exclude us from the institutions of higher education. They've already started the attacks. It's time for us to continue to fight back. We're on the winning side of history. In closing, because I've got to introduce to you a man, I can't say how proud I am of the leadership of President Joseph Robin Biden. And let me tell you why. President Biden did what he said he was going to do. There is a reason why we have the first female, first African-American woman to be the head of the ticket. When he opted not to seek the nomination, he instantly endorsed our sister, our friend, the Honorable Kamala Harris. He didn't hesitate. When he told Mr. Clyburn, I am going to put an African-American woman, not just interview, but I'm going to nominate and make sure an African-American woman in Ketanji Brown will be the first African-American female on the United States Supreme Court. He did what he said he was going to do. When we see Michael Reagan in the EPA that has it fully funded after the work led by the Honorable Congressman Davis, fully fund EPA, Chicago that leads the nation in lead service lines. We have money already set aside to clean out the lead in our service lines on the south and west side and all over the state and all over the country. He did what he said he was going to do. It was unprecedented in human infrastructure money that he put out there. And ladies and gentlemen, we have so much to fight for. When we win back the House, and when we secure the presidency for the Honorable Kamala Harris, you're going to have, over financial services, the Honorable Congresswoman Maxine Waters. You're going to have Bobby Scott over the Department of Education and Workforce Development. You're going to have Gregory Meeks over the Foreign Affairs. You're going to have Benny Thompson over the head of Homeland Security. You're going to have us move up in unprecedented levels, and we will have the first Speaker of the House of African-American descent in the leadership of Brother Hakeem Jeffries to be the Speaker of the House. Now, you can see I've been in office too long because I talk too long, but there is so much information, and that's why we needed you here today. But let me tell you, when I first got into the Congress, and before then, and I decided to run, and I wanted leadership and advice. After I spoke with Dad and told him what I was going to do and asking his permission, he told me, go to the West Side. And I said, for what, Dad? He says, go sit down with Congressman Danny Davis. Dad told me there's never been a congressman of African American descent representing the state of Arkansas. Danny Davis knows the North and the South, the East and the West, over yonder way and around the way. Go sit down now that you're going into the deep, and go sit under the feet of the Honorable Congressman Danny K. Davis. And when I first got to the Hill, and they have all this seniority and priority, and you get leadership and names and titles and all this other stuff. And so it should be a long time before I get to spend time with Uncle Danny. I looked up and he came into my office and I was shocked. And he says, I want to just come by to see you. That was truly an honor. He is the dean of the Illinois delegation. He is a senior ranking member on the House Ways and Means Committee, one of the most select committees in the Congress. He took time to come down and see me, a freshman in the House. I can't thank you enough, Congressman Davis. There is a reason as a freshman I was able to get on the Foreign Affairs Committee. There was a reason as a freshman I was able to get on the Agriculture Committee. The Agriculture Committee will pass the largest spending bill next to the Department of Defense in the 118th Congress of $1.5 trillion, and he ensured my spot on that committee. He says, Illinois is an agriculture state. SNAP, the benefits to women and children, is in that budget. I want you to be there for our people. I'm honored to introduce to you none other, a man of valor, a man of integrity, a man that's a fighter from Arkansas by way of the West Side that rules the nation, my leader and my friend, the Honorable Congressman Danny K. Davis.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, thank you. Thank you very much. And there's a reason that you're one of the most effective members of Congress in your very first year, in your first term. The reason is that you came through PUSH, People United to Save Humanity, People United to Serve Humanity, and Rainbow. That's the reason you are one of the most effective members in your first year. Let me add my voice to those who are welcoming all of you to the 58th convention of Rainbow PUSH. It's always good, 58 years. Reverend Jesse Jackson, Jesse Lewis Jackson, to the Honorable Mayor of the City of Chicago, all of my friends who've been around PUSH, if not 58 years, people like Betty Magnus and others who've been around 50 years, been a part of building this great organization. But Jonathan is exactly right. This is a time that we've never seen before. This is the greatest opportunity we've ever had to help make America become the America that has never been, but the America we know that it can be. So this week, we will explore all of the issues. We will do all of the things. Jonathan and I are so fortunate until I just don't know. Sometimes we pinch ourselves because he gets a chance to be the congressman for the Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson, the congressman for Miss Jacqueline Jackson. I get to be the congressman for the mayor of the city of Chicago, who lives in the neighborhood where I live, who works on the people and with the people that I see each and every day of my life. A representative who embraces all of the people, notwithstanding the fact that he is the first person, of course, to be the mayor who comes from the West Side, the best side of the city of Chicago. And so it is my delight it is my pleasure to bring to you and introduce, you don't need any introduction, but just let you know that the outstanding mayor of the greatest city in the United States of America, the Honorable Brandon Johnson.
Thank you so much, Congressman, and good afternoon, everyone. I am so grateful to be with you all, and honored to celebrate the kickoff, the 58th Annual Rainbow Push International Convention. And today, as we speak truth to power, isn't it humbling to know that power is speaking to power? And that power has been brought to us by this Rainbow Push and this coalition that has worked hard to achieve peace and equity and progress, not just for the people of Chicago, but the people of the globe. We are proud that we are continuing this fight that Reverend Jesse Jackson started a generation ago. The uplifting of black communities, but what he doesn't get enough credit for is that he works to unite nations. This annual convention is a reminder of why it's important to keep hope alive. It's important that we remember that decades of struggle and leadership that has paved the way, making extraordinary advances and impacts across the globe, is because hope has been alive. Now, on a personal note, like many people here, Reverend Jackson came to me some years ago and he says, "You're a great organizer, son." But he said, if you were ever to buy a suit and get a haircut, you just might make something of yourself. Well, Reverend, I got a haircut, I put on the suit, and I'm the mayor of the greatest freaking city in the world, the city of Chicago. So as we gather here to discuss the agenda for the people, the people's agenda, this is especially important as it relates to our education system. Public education at the expense of the state, after all, is a Negro idea. And as a former public school teacher and mayor of this wonderful city, I'm the first mayor, as we know it, to actually send their children to the Chicago public schools. The first mayor to actually having taught in our Chicago public schools. This is a pillar of my administration to make sure that our young people have full opportunities, not just in education, but employment and recreation to find their full purpose. It's an ambitious goal to make sure that we are fulfilling and living out the hopes and dreams of our ancestors. But we are able to do that because, in large part, because of your leadership, the Rainbow Push Coalition. And in closing, there are some things that I'm grateful that we're able to celebrate. Just this past summer, because of our value for public education, I made a commitment to hire more young people. Well, since I've been in office, we've added 8,000 more positions to summer jobs. This year, 27,715 young people had summer jobs because of those investments. Administration after administration shut down mental health clinics and defunded mental health services. Well, I reopened the mental health clinic in Roseland on the south side of Chicago, adding additional mental health behavioral support services on the west side and the lower west side. But we've also made sure that we invest on the south and west sides of the city of Chicago. We've done that. I put forth a $1.25 billion investment for economic development and community development for the west and south sides of the city of Chicago, the largest economic and community development in the history of Chicago. That's how we keep hope alive. And so we have to continue to do this work together. This people's agenda will not be reached without hard work. Now, many of you all know that there are forces out there that have not accepted the results of the Civil War, and they desperately want a rematch. But instead of clinging to the vestiges of Jefferson Davis, Push in the people's agenda is speaking to the hopes and aspirations of Frederick Douglass. And we can make sure that every single child has a fully funded neighborhood school. We can make sure that mental health care services are delivered for people. We can ensure that public transportation is available for people. And we can make sure that there are good paying jobs and affordable homes, because that is the hopes and dreams of our aspiration. God bless you all. God bless the People's Agenda. God bless Reverend Jesse Jackson. And God bless the greatest city in the world, the city of Chicago. Thank you all very much.
Let's give our mayor another round of applause. Before they leave the stage, I would like to welcome any of our elected officials that are presently with us to join us on the stage. Alderman Taylor, I see you here. Come on up here. Any other elected officials, if you are here, come up and join us on stage as we take a picture. Amen. All right, as they prepare to take their photo, we have some other special guests we would like to bring to the mic. Representing Chicago Public School District, our Superintendent Pedro Martinez. Let's welcome him to the stage with a warm welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone, and God bless all of us. First of all, again, I just want to thank Rainbow Push, Reverend Jesse Jackson, starting my 4th school year, and I remember coming here and just taking in the history and just thinking if the walls could talk, of all of the shoulders that we all stand on. Me, myself, being a CPS kid, growing up here in Chicago kid from the 70s and 80s, knowing the fights that it took for black and brown children just to get a fighting chance. And I'm excited, everyone, for the new school year. First of all, first day of school is August 26th. Our staff are ready to welcome our children. The morale has never been higher for our principals. Our teacher retention rates have never been higher. And, I just got to share with you some of the things that make me excited about the new school year. Number one, just in the school year 23, there was a study from Harvard and Stanford that has been publicized nationwide that Chicago is the number one school district in reading recovery in the country of large districts. By the way, number 1 in the country of reading recovery with our black students, number 2 in reading recovery in the country with our Latino students. So let's applaud our teachers, our parents, our guardians, because that's not a small thing, everybody. By the way, this last year we just finished, we literally replicated the gains on top of the gains of the prior year. So here we are, number 1, and this last year we replicated those gains in addition to. By the way, as we're seeing record number of students graduating, record number of students graduating with scholarships, 2 billion with a B and counting, we are seeing also more than half of our seniors that are graduating with college credit. And let me just touch on that for a little bit. Again, growing up here, came to Chicago when I was turning 6 from Mexico, oldest in my family, 12 of us, 10 of us still alive, all CPS kids, 30 nephews and nieces, by the way, all CPS kids. And just know that as we sit in this district right now, last year, our graduating class, we had 6,000 seniors, ladies and gentlemen, 6,000 in college classes while they were in high school. I had students earning associate degrees. They were going to their college graduation before their high school graduation. By the way, guess who's leading that? Our black students on the south and west side. It is the first time in our district we have no race gaps for opportunity for our black and Latino students. First large initiative, and it's just gonna get stronger. I'll end with this. We celebrate our students that earn at least a semester of college credit. The numbers were so large this last year, we had to go to UIC because it was fourfold what it was 3 years ago. And mark my words, everyone, give us 5 years, we're gonna fill up McCormick Place. Because here's what it's gonna take, everybody, and Reverend Jackson knows this, Rainbow Push knows this. It is never gonna be enough for our children to be at the same level as others. We got to be ahead. We got to be ahead because the systems were not designed for our kids. They weren't designed for a kid who didn't speak English coming to this country in Chicago, at 6 years old with a parents with a second grade education. They weren't designed for our kids of color who have been segregated, not only in Chicago, but so many cities in the country. It wasn't designed for them. We are transforming the system to make it for them, and not only our system, but K-12, higher education. And so kids can't just graduate. They just can't graduate at a level. They got to be ahead. So what does that mean? They're graduating with college credit. Because that way, we build up their confidence, and when they get into those higher institutions, they are ready to go, and they're already ahead. And by the way, Chicago State, amazing, amazing university, community colleges, they're signing on, everybody. So again, to conclude, we have a lot, we still have a ways to go. We're not there yet, but I can tell you, the momentum we are building, it is so strong, the morale is high. Parents, we are ready to welcome you and your children. I know you're probably more ready than your kids, but just know we are ready. Thank you, everyone. God bless you.
As you know by now, Rainbow Push has a profound legacy in our community, in the country, and internationally. And today we are celebrating our Education Day. So it was so befitting to have our superintendent here with us today. Let's give him another round of applause. Thank you so much. As you know, this year is a pivotal election year, and there is so much work for us to do. I'm so excited to bring to the podium Attorney Barbara Arnwine, who will talk to us about voter education, voter engagement, and voter turnout. She represents the Transformative Justice Coalition. So let's give her a round of applause as she makes her way to the stage. Attorney Barbara Arnwine.
My, good afternoon, Chicago. Yes, it is such an honor to be here with all of you and with the mightiest champion of voting rights and voter justice in the world. I'm talking about none other than the mighty Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson Sr. We have been in this hall for years talking about the impact and the threat to our democracy of voter suppression. We have talked from this stage about the day in which our political power would make all the difference in the world. Well, who knew? But God knew that this day was coming where African American women could take the forefront of political power in our nation, where all of us have the power to, through our individual votes, to make all the difference. So I want to say to you that we have a mission, folks. We have to be on a mission. We have to be motivated and committed over the next 80-plus days to doing one thing, making sure everybody we know votes. Tell me right now, if you have been talking to your family members, if you have been talking to your classmates, if you have been talking to your friends about voting, stand up right now and let us see you. Let us see you that you're the ones who are making the difference. Stand up, tell us, show us that you are the ones who are demanding that people show up and show out this November. Thank you so much. You're beautiful, you are the difference, that's why we must fight. We will be in Georgia as the Transformative Justice Coalition, along with Rainbow Push. And what will we be doing? We'll be fighting a state that has decided that it's going to allow anyone to challenge voters, even though they don't know who these people are. One person filing 30,000 challenges against voters in one neighborhood. One person challenging 50,000 voters. This is the kind of voter suppression we're fighting, folks. We need you on these front lines. This is not just any other election season. This is a special one where our power, our relationships with our friends, our colleagues, our family will make all the difference. So, what are you saying to people? You're telling them, first of all, make sure that they're registered to vote, right? Secondly, you're saying, if you're already registered, check your voter registration. One county in Nevada last week purged 112,000 people, took them off the voter registration rolls. This is happening all over the country. We have to make sure voters are secure in their voter registration. What else are we saying to people? We're saying that we want to make sure you know every voter date, how to vote early, and in those states where you can't vote early, that you know how to vote either absentee or vote in person on the right day. Folks, this is a major battle, but I am just so happy that we know that the God-given strength of one Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson is still with us. I am so glad that we have the power of your mayor, the beautiful Brandon Johnson. I am so glad that we have the power of your Congressman, Jonathan Jackson, standing in the Congress demanding real voter justice. We're going to pass in this next Congress, when we have all the right people in power, as in Congress, in the Senate, in the House and in the Senate, and in the White House, we're going to make sure we pass the Freedom to Vote Act. We're going to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. We're going to pass the Native American Voting Rights Act. We're going to pass DC statehood. We're going to make sure that our democracy is secure for all generations to come. This is our fight. This is the legacy that John Lewis gave us. This is the fight that we will never turn our backs from. And as they try to ban books, today we're going to give away hundreds of books to our young people, because Rainbow Push is here. Rainbow Push has a mission. It has a dedication. Thank you, Reverend Jesse Jackson, for your leadership. Thanks to all of you. Looking forward to talking more with you during the whole conference about how we make sure that this is the most powerful voter turnout in the history of the United States. Thank you.
We thank Attorney Arwine for that great energy she brings to the stage. Can you feel it? The next person that I would like to invite to the stage is no stranger to Rainbow Push, no stranger to community work, no stranger to breaking glass ceilings. She's a pastor, author, CEO, person of Dr. Valerie Daniels Carter. She is part owner of the NBA Milwaukee Bucks and both president and CEO of V&J Holdings, which is the largest franchise company owned by a woman, not just a black woman, but any woman. So let us make some noise and bring to the stage Dr. Valerie Daniels Carter. Let's show her some love as she comes. Did I say she can preach and sing?
God bless you, and it is a joy and a pleasure to be here on this wonderful opening. And for those of you that are sitting in the rear of this phenomenal facility, hey! All right, I know y'all in the house. I know you're in the house. I'm going to just take 3 minutes. And if I take more than 3 minutes, y'all let me know. And then I might sit down. To tell you that I won't forget. I won't forget a man by the name of Reverend Jesse Jackson. I won't forget Congressman Clyburn, and you all gave him a lot of accolades and titles, but you missed one. Last year, the king from Ghana came to Chicago, and he was inducted as a king, the first king where the king came to the United States to crown him. So I just want to make sure not only is he congressman, but he's King Clyburn. So he has earned all of his accolades. And today, to all of the political individuals that are gathered today, Congressman Jackson, the Jackson family, my friend Lady Jackson, you all see me here today as the owner of the Milwaukee Bucks or one of them, but I don't look like what I've been through. And you better recognize that there were times and there were things that happened in my life that created setbacks, but it didn't set me back. And you need to understand how to motivate yourself to get beyond sometimes what you can see. There were storms that came to try to discourage me. But I had something called endurance. And that's what we need in this day and time, endurance. Because endurance teaches us how to hold on in the midst of the storm. The Reverend Jesse Jackson and the Reverend Willie Barrow, they were there standing up for a young black woman when they didn't say I could do what I knew I could do. How many of you know you can do what they say you can't do? You better recognize who you are. And don't you ever let anybody, young people, don't ever let anybody discourage you from dreaming your dream. Because eyes haven't seen what God has in store for you. The problem is they can't see what you see. They're not going where you're going. That's because they don't know what you know. They don't understand the capacity that resonates inside of you. As I take my seat, life is filled with swift transitions. None on earth a move can stand. We've got the capacity not only to build our things on eternal, but right now we have the opportunity to build America in a different way. As I celebrate this 58th conference, I'm told that the number 58 holds a powerful spiritual significance. The number 58, as signified by the number 58 angel, that delivers a message of abundance, a message of prosperity, and a message of financial success. So push as we push on for 58 years. God is not through with blessing you and giving you abundance, prosperity, and financial success. This special number represents the ability to be able to navigate to your assignment and not allow anyone to discourage you. So, in the words of a great man, keep hope alive. But let me add to keeping hope alive. Not only can you keep hope alive, But I need for you to get alive. I need for you to become excited. I need for you to generate energy. I need for you to motivate others to do what must be done. Never have I seen the righteous forsaken. Used to be a time, Pam, I had to bounce the ball. But Congressman, he took me from bouncing the ball to owning the ball.
Amen. Thank you so much, Dr. Carter, for those remarks. Come on, let's show her some love. Let's do better than that. Amen. As we've mentioned, today is our education day for our convention, and we want you all to stick around all day. We have activities inside and outside. I know it might be still drizzling, but we have book bags, and we have books, school supplies, and things of that nature for our students next door. So before you leave, please get some book bags and books for your students. We have a few more speakers that we're going to bring up, but this is an active day for us here today. All weekend, there's going to be food and events today, tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday, so we definitely want you to stick around, all right? Come on, all right? Our next speaker is an educator, a former principal. He's doing the work on the behalf of our children. Let's welcome to the stage Mr. Troy Lavariere. Let's give him a hand as he comes. Following his remarks, we will have a presentation by the Jesse White Tumbler, so you can start preparing at this moment. Thank you.
My man asked me to put this on the microphone. Good afternoon, beautiful people. It is a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to be in your midst. I have to say, I had a fog over my head when I came in today, and just seeing you all lifted that fog from my head and brought a joy to my heart. I'm telling the truth, just seeing you all, seeing your spirit, seeing the love, seeing the organization lifted the fog from my head and brought a joy to my heart. So give yourselves a hand for creating that energy and that spirit. I need to put it away. I can get a little loud sometimes. All right. Can we hear me? All right. I'm here representing more than 1,000 educators who are members of the Chicago Principals and Administrators Association, principals and assistant principals. The theme of my statement is unity and partnership for the greater good. Unity and partnership for the greater good. Our association has entered into a partnership with Rainbow Push, and the first project that our partnership is to co-produce the Saturday Morning Education Forum. This partnership ensures our people get to benefit from a voice and perspective on schools that has been missing from mainstream media. The voice and perspective of the principals who understand those schools like no one else in the system. Those are voices you don't often hear, but our partnership is bringing those voices to bear. We've co-produced 3 outstanding forums to date, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about how the road to this partnership started. 8 years ago, I was blessed to attend the 2016 Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia. As a delegate to the convention, I put myself squarely in the camp of the progressives who were for Bernie Sanders. And I had the nerve, listen to me, I had the nerve to act like when Bernie lost, I wasn't sure who I was going to support, if I was going to support the Democratic nominee, Hillary Clinton, as if I had any other choice given she was running against Trump. But I was steaming and hurting from my loss, right? So when I left the convention, I took a pilgrimage to the Gettysburg National Cemetery, where Abraham Lincoln gave the Gettysburg Address. And as I stood in that holy place, I received a phone call from someone you might know who had heard that I wasn't sure about who I was going to support. And the caller reminded me that the time for competition amongst Democrats had passed. And he invited me to join him and his family at a Cubs game. So the next day I went to the Cubs game with my son, and he patiently talked to me and convinced me to join him and other Chicago leaders to announce our collective support for the Democratic nominee, Hillary Clinton, which we did. Now, the person, as you might guess, who called me and reminded me of the bigger unifying picture, as I stood at the site where Abraham Lincoln reminded the nation of the ultimate bigger unifying picture, was Reverend Jesse Jackson. That he took the time out of his busy schedule to ground me, a relatively unknown principal who had just become elected to the Principals Association. He took that time out to ground me in a moment where my political immaturity had gotten the best of me, is a testament to his leadership and his dedication to the unity and progress of our people and all people. And I thank you with all of my heart, Reverend Jackson, for taking that time out. It is a testament to his leadership. His leadership and similar leadership from his staff is why I know the Chicago Principals and Administrators Association is blessed to be a part of the transformative partnership with PUSH. This partnership is all the more remarkable because less than a year ago, our association and PUSH were at odds. But thanks to the leadership of Reverend Jackson, Yusef Jackson, and Bobby Lewis, we came together to plot a course for progress in partnership. We got over our differences by focusing on what we had in common and how we could advance the hopes and dreams of Chicago in this partnership together. As a result of this experience, I am committed to coming to the table not just with PUSH, but with every organization represented in this gathering, from the mayor's office to the teachers' union. And I extend an invitation to all of you to begin a series of dialogues that can transform our organizations and our city by getting past what divides us and toward what unites us. And that starts with our common interests. Our common interest is in a great school system that fully develops all of our city's people, not a school system that has a couple of selective schools that fully develops those who are already advanced and developed, but then neglects those who are not. That is our common interest. Our common interest is in a city that is safe and where the people of different backgrounds come together to understand and appreciate one another and also feel understood and appreciated. Our common interest is in everyone earning a wage that affords them and their family the best of what our city has to offer. The best of what our city, not some of it, the best of what our city has to offer. All of us should have access to the best. That's our common interest. And I'm willing to bury the hatchet with anybody to advance those interests. I'll close by saying the path for transformation we seek is clear, or more clear. We are not silos, and we should not work in silos. This is community work. The human condition can change because humans can change conditions. We might not be as strong as we need to be because we're not as unified as we need to be, but the human condition can change because humans can change conditions. So let's come together to do just that for the greater good of every human being that touches or is touched by our city. And finally, to you young people, as a representative of the principals, I'm here today to assure you that no matter what's happening around us, what the headlines are, how many streets are closed, as the world's eye descends on Chicago over the next week, the school leaders, principals, and assistant principals will be ready and eager, opening our doors on August 26th to welcome you, our students, with open arms, creating safe places for your growth, your development, your healing, and your safety. Thank you.